Okay, everybody, it's me, Buckeye. 922. Wow. Wistoria. All right, now this is the second to last episode. Um, we're gonna get one more next week, which is going to be the conclusion of the season two, more or less, which wraps it up pretty nicely. So let's get into this. Wistoria, season two, episode 11, The Roar of Ice and Lightning. Or is it the other way around? I believe it says a roar of ice and lightning. Okay, a roar of ice and lightning. This was insane. Now, so what I found interesting about this episode specifically wasn't the actual fight, was the beginning of the episode. And in the beginning of the episode, there's an altercation where you hear the one who's in charge of the elf faction. She begins to say how Zio is a barbarian and doesn't like him, all this stupid crap. And he points his. I'm going to be very blunt. Supposedly, this is his staff or a wand. Fuck that shit. That's a freaking weapon. He has this long poled like staff thing, but at the end of it, it's got two daggers. That's a weapon. So he's basically confronting Aaron about the dwarfs and how using them would help them in the long run. And he doesn't agree with him, and he says, "Oh, will you tell me why?" Blah, blah, blah. And he says, "Not yet." Zio is different from the other Magia vendor. He's not in the same frame of mind as them. Their way of thinking is different from his. And even like the guy who's in charge of the fire faction, what's his face? He's starting to tell him, "Oh, you went too far, blah, 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 blah." But this clues you in on why. Why he's so gung-ho after acknowledging Will. After he's been basically pushing douchebag Roots, say, "Yeah, get out of here, High Institute. Go shove it up your butt. Get out of here." And proclaiming, "Yeah, he's going to join my faction." Because in his eyes, no one, no matter who they are, is useless unless they bring the work. And that's what happened, really. Will brought in the work. He trained and he learned how to use this fifth element power, the Whis, and now we're here in this juncture. And that's how you look at Zio. He values Will's abilities. He values him to the point where, yeah, I'm going to snatch him. Of course, Elf is like, "Get out of here, bitch." They have a fight. It is a full-blown fight. Will's unconscious for most of it because freaking Zio shocked him. And it is by far the most insane fight I've seen in this series. It's just insane. She does everything against him, and when you see Zio fight, you begin to. It even says it in the episode. Finn states, in his own opinion, preferred if Will went to the Thunder faction, and this is only because of how Zio is. Yes, he has spells, but he uses those spells in a way where it imbues him with fast speed, ferocity, and attacking his opponent straight on. Which is different to the other Magia Vander who use spells from a long distance. He doesn't do that. Close range. It's more combat oriented. And when you think about that and you think combat oriented, well, that's like Will. Will uses a sword. And you look at freaking Zeo, and yeah, okay, you could say it's a staff, but he's not using it like that. He uses that thing like a broom. He uses it to throw at people. That's what he does in the series, in the episode. I was like, what the hell? But he really gives it to Elfie. And then Elfie uses this last ditch effort. She's able to freeze him in place. Like she was going to use it on Will. I was like, now the only problem I have with this series is this ongoing thing with Colette. No offense to anyone who's ships here, ships there. I see absolutely no romantic interest in this. The only romantic interest you can honestly say to a point regarding her and Will is okay, yeah, she was like the only person that was with Will, who stood up for Will, except for Roxy, who's dead now. She's like grabbing the pillow. Come on, get off it. But it doesn't really matter because she's not going to join them anyway. That's a faction, so it just seems very obtuse. Like, what are you mad about? Oh, come on. It's very silly. It just, I don't see the romantic interest here. It's very, come on. Let's push that to the side. But yeah, she freezes him in place and punches the shit out of him. And then Elfie summons and Zeo summons what I believe is their elemental beasts. He summons a minotaur out of lightning with an axe. And she summons, I think it's a falcon. I'm going to say falcon. I'm not going to say eagle. Because the way it looked like a falcon. And then it's just on its way to collision course. And then basically, I forgot which clan. I think it was the elf clan. Her assistants. They put up a barrier. And I just want to go, wow. So, this really is the culmination of what I think is, in my opinion, two ideologies. Elfie and her love for Will, and Zeo and him realizing, I need this guy in my faction. Because he embodies everything that I see in humanity and everything. And you know, what's funny about this is Liana, the one who is part of the Thunder faction as well. She got picked by the Thunder faction. Because she also uses the same magic. She uses the magic of Zeo. Let me just make sure that I'm correct on the name. Because I could be wrong. Going down. Yeah, Liana. It's funny too, because like she preview, they show her on the bed, like going googly eyed. I'm like, she doesn't like this faction. So that's where we get off it, and then we end, the episode pretty much ends. Will wakes up and asks what's going on because he's been knocked out for so long, and that's pretty much it. So rating wise, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. No filter. 10 out of 10, 100 freaking percent. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. I know the outcome. And it's upsetting for the shippers, but logistically, based on what Finn said in the episode, that has merit. It does. When you think about Will, and that he is a sword user. He wields a sword, he fights with his sword, and you think about Zeo. Yeah, he has this staff, but he's flinging it around. like a weapon. So in that aspect, yes, this is the proper faction to go to for Will. But in the end of the day, it's going to help him tune to be accustomed to other magics, but also elaborate on that spell courage, elaborate on his Whis ability. He's going to get so much better as we go along. But I kind of know the outcome here, but it's going to be interestingly funny next week when we get the whole bit. But it's just the way Finn establishes that's the faction for him to go to. And I know Liana's in there and she's got a wand and all that business, but really, when you look at Zio and how he is presented, of his ideals, and everything in between with them, you begin to get the picture that yes, he sees Will as a change. He sees Will as someone he can teach everything to and build on that. And say, hey, Aaron, you dumb son of a bitch, look at this guy. He's better than you. I mean, not wrong. But yeah, overall, 10 out of 10. Final episode next week. So, I have some anime series reviews to do. We shall see how that goes. It's a lot, so I'm gonna try to push it forward and watch them during the week because I gotta start watching these. It's a few series, like I think about 5 or so. We'll see if I do 5 or 4 or what have you. But that's all I got for you guys. Bankai Night 22. Zio, man, he's a barbarian. 100%. I'll see you guys later.